Hey, what's going on, internet people? This is your man Leif. What I'm doing today is I'm just gonna do some quick work on some of the projects that I'm currently working on. Whoops, see, and what I'm focused on today is a story that I've been working on for a little bit. I actually have storyboarded the story. Uh, this past week, I've actually worked on three different stories, three different books. And this particular book I'm working on is something that I started a while ago. And I finished the entire storyboard. I probably storyboarded several more times just to make sure that it's the way I need it to be. But right now, what I'm going to be focused on is working on doing just some sketches for posing for the book and just to show some of my process of how I go about illustrating a project. This particular project is a children's book that I worked on. I'm not going to reveal what it is exactly, but like I said, I've probably storyboarded like maybe 20, 24 pages. And so what I'm going to be doing right now is I've storyboarded it. I initially had a character design beforehand. And after I did the storyboard, I'm like, this character design doesn't match up with the storyboard the way I want it. Usually for a storyboard, you'll have, let's see, here, I'm going to pull up, you'll have like a variety of ways that you illustrate the book or whatever the storyboard is, and it won't line up directly, with the actual character design. But what I'm doing is I did the character design first and I storyboarded it. Now I want to go back and just work on how the character feels to make sure that it fits correctly. So give me a second and I'll get that rolling. Let's see if you can see my screen here. Let me share my screen first. Pick which screen I'm going to share. And I'll actually do it this way. Let me make sure I'm still connected here. Okay, give me a second. Okay. Yeah, because typically what happens with the screen is you got to make sure it stays up to date. So, anyway, like I said, I've already started this character, and the proportions of the character were similar to, they were something like this. It's a little girl, and her proportions were more or less like this in terms of stature. But I wanted to change it a little more to make it fit. Because again, the age that I'm going for the character is about maybe 3 or 4, and some of the posing here. I'll show you some of the poses I've already done. And so I wanted to make her a little younger. The proportions I had initially for the character design, she looked a little older. So I want to reduce that back down and just go over some of the acting. When I think about it, typically uh, I would act this out in terms of the poses and the scenes. Because a lot of people that I follow, when I look at how they go about doing storyboards and coming up with story ideas, they literally just act it out and then they record themselves and then they pick different posing from the posing. So I'm not going to be doing that right now, obviously. But what I did want to do is just focus on the proportions, make sure that that it fit with the story, because there in the story I have like some action, things like that, and I want the body to fit. So I guess the comedy comes across. But anyway, so typically I'll just do like some scribbles in terms like if I think about posing. Uh, this particular character is really sneaky. So as you can see, like here, just like tiptoeing here, and again, just thinking about what it would look like, if they're like looking around the corner. And again, like I said, it's a little girl, she has little Afro puffs. And then so I'm just going in and erasing some of it. And all I'm doing really is just thinking through, okay, what I want this to look like. And these are, when I say roughs, it's all it is. It's not to be anything solid in terms of the final rendering. I like to do things really, I call it sloppy, but the goal is not to be sloppy for sloppy's sake. It's really just to get ideas out of your head and just to make sure that, that you don't let the idea go to waste. So again, all I'm thinking about when I do some of these is just like, okay, what kind of personality does the kid have? And, what kind of body shape fits with that? And so that's really all I'm doing. Like I said, it's going to look pretty rough. If you want to learn how to draw, this is not necessarily the best way to do it. However, I usually start all of my drawings out in this way, in this manner. So I know a lot of people when they draw, they like, it looks fairly finished and those kinds of things, but I like to focus on process so you can see how the process goes. Excuse me. And again, all I'm trying to do right here is just get the attitude down. So when I go to refine exactly what the character looks like in the final renderings, I'll know exactly what I want to shoot for. So this just helps me get an idea of where I want to go with the final look of it. Like I said, I did a preliminary design before I actually did my storyboards, and I'll go back through and do some more storyboards in terms of figuring out how I want the overall essence of the character to be, those kinds of things. So this is really just me working through that. And I figured I might as well share this side of the process. And again, like I said, it looks probably really crazy right now, but these help quite a bit. And I may see, I'm only going to be on here for like 15 to 20 minutes. So I may render one out just so you can see how I go from this to something that could be used in a final. I know some people like their sketches look immaculate from the beginning. I'm not that guy. Occasionally I can do that, but that's not my goal right now on this particular outing. It's more or less just okay. Let's get the idea out. And I usually use like the crosshatch and the yeah, just to get an idea. Juice that down some. And again, this is less for the essence of it. Again, just doing different posing, figuring out what the rhythm of the character is, figuring out the kind of attitude, um, how I want the character to be. I mean, I have somewhat cute but somewhat sneaky. Oops. Pocket. As you can see, I'll just do a lot of these doodles and I'll just keep repeating just a lot of repetition over and over, and getting a feel for exactly how I want everything to be set up. And again, I'll just keep knocking it out, keep working on it, keep thinking about it, and and then hopefully the ideas will continue to flow. Um, I'll I'll get more into the story side of it, and all I'm doing right now anyway is just looking up at my screen and looking at some of the storyboards I have. And so just a real quick, this is how I'll typically storyboard like from a book perspective. I'll just like do an outline of a page. And for example, in one particular shot, the character was looking down a hallway. So I'll see, think about my horizon line. I'll make it more exaggerated than what I have it in my story. And so do my like perspective grids. I really don't need a perspective grid for this. Oops. And then so no, I'm not going with the grid that I have. Again, all I'm thinking about is okay, how do I exaggerate this particular pose? Let's switch. All I'm doing right now is just exaggerating this particular pose and just making this hallway seem more ominous. And so, oops. So this is pretty much how I'll set up a pose. So I can get an idea. Okay, so do I want this particular image? So if this was a particular page in the book, is this the way, is this the way I would approach it? Or maybe I would do, again, taking the same concept. Um, I could zoom in on the face. Oops. Yeah, sometimes if you angle particular pencils, it's a little thicker. And then so, like I said, it's just a different take on the same pose. It's kind of a dark uh, book, dark in sense of the colors, actually, not the subject matter. I'm going to just clean up the pose a little bit. We're cleaning up the panel. So you could do it that way, or there's a variety of ways you could do it. Um, or maybe instead of looking down the hall, because I kind of have a panel similar to this. She's peeking around the corner. So you got kind of same scenarios in all of these. It's just different ways to approach it. And since it's black and white currently, I would just do like that and maybe show like a glow on her face or something just to show she's in the light. So again, just a variety of approaches um, to convey the same thing, and it really depends on how the wording reads or how you just want to go about it. So let me make a new layer. Actually, I kind of did. Yeah. Actually, I'll do this. I'll just use this layer since I already have some space. And then I'm just trying to map out this character in my head. And the pencil I'm using is there's like a different sketch brush sets that you can get. I'm using Terra's ovals, but I have my own. This particular one you see it has Leif's twist, so I decided to tweak it to where I liked it. Sometimes you'll get brush sets that you don't necessarily like, and I'll go ahead and tweak them to fit what I'm trying to do. I'll keep the originals, but I'll tweak it just to make it work the way I want it to work. So yeah, it didn't really change much in terms of size. So now I'm just again just going back to the design of the character because really all I care about in terms of this character is just getting the proportions right. Like I said, it's a little girl. Um, I want to make sure that the proportions are right and that the attitude is right for the character. Because if that doesn't work, then the story kind of sinks based on that. So that's really all I'm going for. It's like I want a kind of cuteness, but again, the character's kind of bad at the same time. Not in an evil way, but just how kids can be. Again, I'm just getting the proportion for the eyes right because that matters a lot because they tell a lot of the story. And as most of the little girls I draw, they have either the afro puffs or the braid puffs because that's what we used to put on our kids a lot. This makes them look more kiddish to me. And again, just body type, and the head down a little bit, make the body come straight from the head. That body is not so bad. Yeah, I'm just looking at my story, figuring out how I want some of this to be. And again, I'm just mapping it out. And like I said, I'll usually work through these things pretty quickly, like this, just to get, like I said, get the ideas out. And then when it's refinement, then I'll slow down on my strokes, make sure that I'm paying attention to what I'm doing. So she's reaching out. Maybe I would stretch her a little bit more. So yeah, I got the stretch going just a little bit more. Just to exaggerate. I'm gonna make it look up. Hey, what's going on, man? Again, I'm just really just mapping out how I want it to be, and then I get into refinement stage and figuring out everything. I'll make sure that all the different poses I work on are on model, meaning that whatever my final design is, all the characters from that point will be on models. So I'll do character turnarounds and those kinds of things. I may even show that process once I figure out what the character is going to be. I know what the character is going to be, but just in terms of the final, final rendering. And you can see I got a variety of different looks, body types, and those kinds of things. I appreciate it, man. And so it's just really going through and figuring out, okay, what matches the best. And again, I'm really figuring out proportions because I like squatty proportions. So it may even be to where it's like this, like final size. But I don't know if I'll exaggerate it that much. And it could even be eyes like this, but I think it just gives it a different appeal, different look, different vibe. Um, Not quite what I'm looking for. So I tend to give full eyes similar to that. And even with this body type, I would make it a little larger, stretch it, push it. So again, like the sky's the limit, but you just have to just really zero in on the character. And since these are just this particular project is a personal project, I've been really just taking my time, just figuring out how I want to go about it, and not really rushing the process in terms of the look. Uh, but I want to make sure that I'm pushing it forward because I've not been doing anything on it for quite some time, and so just want to make sure that again I'm keeping clarity about what the project should be. Snaggletooth. So anyway, this hopefully you learned something from this. Hopefully it gives you an idea of process and just how to go about just really just doodling, doodling, getting your ideas out. I've not even really looked at the script or anything for this particular part. Um, just spitballing it, just figuring out just some different poses. And like I said, typically I'll use some reference, especially when it comes to kids. You got to look at reference sometimes just to get an understanding of how their bodies move, um, and how just making sure their proportions stay cute and things like that. So I've done two passes on the storyboards for this. It almost reads better as an animation than it does a picture book the way I have it now. So I got to go through and remap how I want this flow to go and make sure that everything is lining up the way it needs to, and making sure that it's worth flipping to the next page. So that's all I have for tonight. I have some other lives I got to do later on, so I just wanted to make sure I got this in. Was supposed to do this yesterday, but I had a power outage in our neighborhood. At any rate, thanks for those that stopped by. Appreciate it. You can catch it on my YouTube or my Facebook page, Leif Taylor. Also, if you're on my YouTube channel, you want to sign up for Skillshare. I got 2 free months. Check it out. Brush up on your skills. Get some other teaching other than myself. I'm still not sure exactly what kind of things I want to talk about on this channel. I don't know. I'll probably start sharing some of the resources that I use, and even I'll more than likely start streaming on Twitch because you have a different audience there, and I'll probably just keep this stuff rolling as I'm working so you can actually see how I do all my work. This is just one project. The other day, 2 days ago, I started a personal design project. I was working on some G.I. Joe sketches, and I'm still undecided on style. So I may go on Twitch later on and just talk about that and see where that goes, because I won't be in a rush to get off. So anyway, I appreciate you guys stopping by, and have any comments or questions, be sure to hit me up either on my YouTube channel, hit me up in the comments, or on my Facebook page. You can shoot me a personal message. Peace.